It's not my mother, not my father, but it's me, oh Lord. This afternoon I want to talk from a simple subject, just for me. Just for me. The Gospel of Matthew, the 15th chapter, claims our attention, and we pick it up, and God allows us to kind of break in on this that's going on between a Canaanite woman and Jesus.
Yes.
And pick it up, if you will, 21st verse of that 15th chapter of Matthew. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with the devil. But he answered her not. He answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cried after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yes,
then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. Just for me. How personal, how self-centered the theme sounds, how selfish and isolated the text appears.
Yes, sir.
Just for me. For even though the initial request of this woman is clearly on behalf of her daughter, who's described as grievously vexed with the devil, the plea is for self-help. Notice the irony here. Have mercy on me. Lord, help me. Now, physically, there does not appear to be anything wrong with this woman.
Well,
Not at all, not physically. So it's more than a technicality that the approach to Jesus is made in this way. The woman never says, really help my daughter. She mentions her condition, but look over it again. She doesn't say help my daughter. She says, Lord, help me. She states the condition, but never says, Jesus, I want you to heal her. I found that strange when I was looking over that first. I said, here this woman comes, and her concern is for her daughter, and she doesn't do what we expect her to do. Lord, lay your hand on her. Lord, touch her. Lord, heal her. Like the man who lowered the bed down to Jesus to help this particular man, or even the woman who had pushed her way through the crowd to touch the hem of his garment. She was the one that had the physical ailment. She was the one that had the issue of blood.
well,
And we can understand a situation like that. But as I read over this and looked at this healing of Jesus, I said, something else is going on here. For the woman comes seeking, and we can see that, help for her daughter. But instead of asking Jesus to heal her, the mercy plea is for her own destroyed and tortured soul. Sometimes we have to think about what others go through when people close to you are sick and afflicted. Don't feel bad about that. I know you say to yourself, gee, they the one in the bed, but look like I'm suffering. I carry on a little humor with one of the mothers of our church when their daughter was ill, and I went to the hospital. I can carry the humor on now because it's past. God has healed her, and the daughter and everything came out all right. And I shared this with her, that when I arrived at the hospital, the daughter was the one that had to undergo the surgery. The daughter was the one that was in pain. But we had to console the mother more than we did the daughter while we were there. And I kid her about that now. I said, instead of putting the daughter, before we could find a bed for the daughter, we had to find a bed for the mother. There wasn't anything physically wrong with her. But all of us know that when our children are going through it, we go through it too. Our husbands and wives are ill, we go through it too. Sometimes I remember when I rushed my son when he was little and rushed him to the hospital, he got his finger caught in the door, as children would do, and I remember rushing him to the hospital, and I think I was worse off than he was. And every stitch, the doctor wanted me to wait outside. I said, no, I'm going to be inside this operating room. And every stitch they put in his finger, I jumped. Every time they sewed it up, I looked at his hand. and all. And you've had that experience before, that you've gone to the bedside of a person and they looked all right. They looked satisfied, but you were in agony. You were destroyed. That's what love will do for you. See, love will take you out of yourself and make you feel for somebody else. That's what love will do. Love cannot, you can't be selfish when you got love. And don't you believe these folk who say they love you and always looking out for themselves. If folk love you, then they love you to the extent that they care more for you at that time than they do for themselves. They love you. They're not going to just want to be sad. They themselves want to know that you're happy. Your joy will make them happy. And that's what love is really, really all about. It's only selfish when people feel that as long as I'm all right, everything is okay. And as long as I'm getting along, all right. But love goes beyond that, and I thank God for that, because that's the kind of love that redeemed us. That's the kind of love that went on the cross to die for us. That's the kind of love that made the sacrifice for you and me. It was not for Jesus, but it was certainly for us. And so this destroyed mother, this tortured soul of hers, Jesus, in a sense, she's saying, I know she's the one that's sick. And I know she's the one that's going through it. But whatever you do, Lord, do it for me. Whatever you do. Jesus, again, is confronted with what I call a one-on-one ministry. The most effective ministries of Jesus were not just those before the masses. Not those when he met and was on the mountaintop and had disciples and gangs and crowds around him. His most effective sermons were not those sermons that were preached in front of multitudes or from the pulpit of a synagogue. His most effective messages were, and sermons were those he had to preach one-on-one. Come here, Brother Nicodemus. I know it's night and you don't want anybody to see you, but where you going? I'm going to the doorstep of Jesus. Why? Because I heard him say something, and I'm a Pharisee. I belong to the Sanhedrin Council, and it's embarrassing for me to raise my question in a crowd. I'll wait until he goes home. I'll wait till midnight. Then I'll come to his door and I'll say, Master, you must be a servant or somebody that come from God. For no man can do the miracles that you do except God be with you. That's when Jesus had a one-on-one ministry. You must be. You have to be. You got to be born again. He didn't say this in front of crowds. He said it to Nicodemus. Marvel not, I say unto you, Nicodemus, you must be born again. Weary Savior sits at a well, and he's waiting there because he must needs go through Samaria. But he has nothing in his hand. He cannot get the water out of the well. The disciples are not there. The crowds are gone. He sits at Jacob's well all by himself. Up the hill comes a woman dragging her empty water bucket. She's coming because she sees a man sitting there, but she dared not talk to him because she's had enough trouble with men already in her life. In fact, she's had 5, and the one she's got now doesn't belong to her. But there he sits at the well all by himself. It's Jesus' golden opportunity to have a one-on-one ministry. But when she began to go, Jesus says, if you give me to drink. And she says, you are, I can't understand this. You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan. We have no dealings with one another. Jesus said, if you look harder, you'll find out that I'm more than what you're saying. Because if you would have asked of me that same question, you just don't know who I am, I would give you living water. You proceeded to preach a one-on-one sermon to a woman until she dropped her water bucket. Never did get any water. But that was all right, because that water she'd have to come back again tomorrow to get some more. She had received the water, a well inside of her where it will never run dry. Ran back to the city and said, come on and see a man. Must be the Messiah. He's told me all that I've ever done. One-on-one confrontation makes Jesus effective. I leave with you and say to you, before I even go further in this text, I don't care what relationship you got through the choir. I don't care what relationship you got through the usher boy. I don't care what prayer partner you got on the telephone. If you want to see my Jesus face, you got to have a one-on-one confrontation with him. You got to be able to see him up front and know that he walks with you. Not just grandma and mama, not just the crowds, not just the preacher, but he walks with me. Not just don't, and he doesn't have to walk down Broadway. He doesn't have to walk in Madison Square Garden. He doesn't need the Democratic or Republican convention. He walks with me, and he talks with me, and tells me that I belong to him. And that's the joy that we share. That's what I call a one-on-one ministry. Well, that's what Jesus got going as I hurry on. It's a one-on-one ministry. The woman has sought him out. I want you to notice that he has departed in the coast of Tyre and Sidon. Those who know that this is Canaanite territory. This is a woman of Canaan who comes out. These are those who believe in a God of nature called Baal. These are those who believe not in the Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The woman is a stranger. She's a foreigner, and she has come looking for help. She has come a long way. She's a distance in this area. And not only is there a distance between she and Jesus geographically as to where they come from, but there is a distance when it comes to salvation. She has not been nurtured on the book of the law. She does not know the Talmud and the Torah. She has not heard about what God has in store for Abraham's children. She does not know the background. And somehow or ever, this foreigner and Jesus come together. One thing I like about Jesus, I don't care where you are, he shortens distances. I don't care, you can be in the valley, he'll still get to you. You can be outside on drugs, just wait for him, he'll shorten the distance. If you can't get to him yourself, Jesus has a way of getting to you. That's what I like about him, that he shortens distances. He fills the gap. We talk about generation gap. We talk about racial gaps. And we talk about all kind of political gaps. But Jesus shortens the distance. He has a way of bringing both sides together. And I recommend him to you this afternoon. If you need somebody to settle a problem, why not call on Jesus? If you need somebody to bring two people together, what about Jesus? You've tried, and instead of bringing them together, you've driven them far apart. Why not turn them over to Jesus? For Jesus has a way of bringing folk together. Out of Tyre and she comes out of Canaanite territory. She comes, and Jesus and this seeker have a common attraction because he comes to help, and she comes looking for help. There's no better relationship than that. The one who needs help and the one that can help you. What good is going to somebody who can't help you? What good of going to a doctor and he can't do anything at all for you? What good of going, taking your car to the same mechanic and the car's still clanking and won't run? What's the use of that? If you need help, you got to go where help is. If you want help, those who are in need must go to the one that can do something for you. That's why I stay in touch with Jesus. I know he can help me. I stay in touch with Jesus because I know that he understands me. He knows the pattern, and he's able to do anything that I ask him to do. I don't put him on the spot. I don't have to put him on the spot because he already knows my need. He already knows what I need. Well, there they are. They've met each other. It's a good association. But the disciples are angered by this woman's presence. They're angered because she's not one of them, and therefore a sinner. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to tear down denominational walls. It's time for us to tear down convention walls. Time for us to tear down association walls. Time for us to tear down group walls and try to see each other as they are. I love this today. We got a blend of folk from all churches. Not just one denomination, but we're all God's children. Some of us have found out that the church we're in is not going to save us. The denomination is not going to save us. Jesus didn't say, upon this rock I'll build Baptist or Methodist or Church of God in Christ. He said, upon this rock I'll build my church. That's only one church. Somehow ever, we're going to have to come together and believe that we're all God's children. All of us from the north, south, east, to west. We're broken up in so many ways that we can't even see each other. Light-skinned folk don't like dark-skinned folk. Dark-skinned folk don't like light-skinned folk. Short folk don't like tall folk. Stout people don't like thin people. We're broken up in all kinds of ways. The old can associate with the young. And the middle, those in the middle don't know who to associate with. We're up sometime and down sometime. Don't know which way to turn. Well, I got somebody to recommend to you. Somebody who doesn't care who you are. Somebody who don't care where you come from. Somebody who don't care whether you're tall or short, whether you're black or white. You can join hands with Jesus. I'm talking about Jesus. One, if you know him, he's my lily of the valley. Talking about Jesus. One, if you know him, he's a rock in a weary land. I'm talking about Jesus. He's my doctor when I need a doctor. There she stands now, and she's come to the right place. Too bad the disciples doesn't understand that he's not just their teacher, he's not just their God, but he's here for everybody else. And therefore, they're angered when they first see her. Well, if they are right here, what a happy circumstance this is. If she's a sinner, then this is a happy circumstance, because Christ meets the sinner and the sinner meets her Christ. And I can't think of any better relationship. When you're sick, it's nice to know a doctor. When you're in trouble legally, it's nice to know a lawyer. But when your soul is in trouble, when you know that you need a Savior, you need somebody. You need somebody. Somebody. And God knows he's able. I know he's able. He's able. Yeah, he's able. Able. Yeah, I know he's able. Well, let me go on just to the end now. This is a happy situation. Jesus is first silent. Listen to her. Look here. Have mercy on me. I've been fooling around with Baalism such a long time that I don't know what the condition is. I think that she's vexed with a devil. I think she got some demons in her. Now, modern medicine might say, this woman crazy. We know what's wrong with her. The child just got some fits, epileptic fits. But this is not modern medicine. We don't know what she's doing. We think a devil has gotten a hold of her and has done something to her. Well, I come to tell you, in the day of modern medicine, you better look at some of these folks. Some of them, we better rewrite the medicine books. The books on medicine, rather. The medical books, we better rewrite the medical books. Because some of these people that you're defining in some way medically just might have the devil in them, that's all. It may not be anything at all. It may not be a psychological trauma. It may not be a paranoia personality. It might be the devil inside them. And maybe all they need is a dose of Jesus. For one dose of Jesus will take away the devil. One dose of Jesus will make it all right. That son you're sending to a psychiatrist, get him to Jesus. That daughter that you're sending, paying so much money for therapy, just get her to Jesus. That husband and wife that's spending all that time being rehabilitated by some therapist, they better get on their knees and go to Jesus. For Jesus has got the answer. No matter what you're talking about, I know he's got the answer. So, Lord, she's grieving, she's vexed with the devil. Well, and I'm coming home now. That silence bothers me a little bit because she's silent. Jesus is silent. He does not answer her. For a moment, the disciples say, Jesus realizes she's a sinner. He ain't going to have nothing to do with this woman. He's not going to dirty himself with this Canaanite woman. Talking about demons and devils. He seemed to be there talking about some devil, and Jesus is silent. I wondered about that silence. And then I said, maybe Jesus wants her to personalize this. Maybe he wants to see how much she wants this for her daughter. Is she willing to lay her life on the line? Is she willing to approach him for herself? And I hear Jesus say, come on, one more time. That's when the woman said, not for my daughter, but Lord, just for me. Have mercy on me. If you got to heal her through me, then it's all right. Now Jesus comes up with the Israelites and the Jews, Lord. And the disciples stick out their chest because they're ready to hear this now. Because Gentiles are nothing but dogs around the table, trying to find the crumbs that fall from the table. They don't feel they're as good as Abraham's children. So Jesus looks at her and then brings this one on her. Should I take belonged to the children of Abraham and cast it to the dogs. She said, no, don't do that. What belonged to somebody else, let them have. I don't want anybody else's blessing. I don't want anybody else's goodness. And if you can do that for me, just let some crumbs fall from the table. Just let some drops fall on me. I don't need all the blessing. I don't need a room full of blessing. Don't have to give me $1 million. Just every now and then, let some drops fall on me. Let some drops fall on me. Just a little bit of power. Sprinkle down from above. We'll make it all right. Let some drops. Let some drops. Let some crumbs. Do it for me. If you can't do it for them, if you can't do it for my nation, you can't do it for my daughter, just for me. If you got a blessing, if you're passing out blessing, Lord, don't forget about me. Just for me. Let it be just for me. When you start passing out blessing, let some fall on me. Some mother, some father, son on drugs, girl out in the street, family torn apart. That child ain't praying. That daughter's not praying. But the mother gets on her knees. Said, I got a boy out there. Do it just for